Get in the game with NFL Sunday Ticket from Rev TV. You'll get every game every Sunday afternoon from around the league. Plus, NFL Sunday Ticket gives you up to 8 live games on one screen with Game Mix. You'll get that died and woke up in football heaven experience when you upgrade to NFL Sunday Ticket Deluxe, including Red Zone, the channel dedicated to every scoring play from every game. And if you add Rev TV HD to NFL Sunday Ticket Deluxe, you'll be entered to win big weekly prizes with NFL Wildcard Mania. Get in the game with NFL Sunday Ticket.
Good evening, Bahamas. You're tuned into MB12 Weekend, broadcasting from Cable 12 Studios on Robinson Road. Coming up tonight in news, the opposition leader says after mulling over the recently tabled gaming bills, the Free National Movement has opted not to support the legislation. The BUT slams the Ministry of Education for not being prepared for the new school year. The process of BEC's sale being called undemocratic, another group calling for a delay in the gender equality referendum, and a weight loss success story to motivate you in achieving your own goals. I'm Paige McCartney. We've got those stories and more straight ahead on MB12 Weekend. Welcome once again to MB12. The Free National Movement will vote against the gaming bill, according to opposition leader Dr. Hubert Minnis, who at a press conference at F&M headquarters this afternoon put his party's position on the table. Minnis said the F&M stance is unchanged and the web shop industry should not be regulated or legalized. Our Dana Smith has the story.
Opposition leader Hubert Minnis today slamming the Christie administration and the recently tabled gaming bill. Minnis called the tabling of the bill a violation of trust and the bill itself a charter for lawbreakers. Minnis said for the Prime Minister to go against the results of last January's gambling referendum only proved the Prime Minister's word cannot be trusted.
The tabling of the new gaming bill by the PLP government is a violation of every principle of trust, accountability, transparency, and fairness owed by a government to the Bahamian people. Having taken the nation through a meaningless public relations exercise, an opinion poll called the gaming referendum, and having committed to respect the results of that referendum, Perry Christie has shown that his word as the nation's leader cannot be trusted. His word means nothing.
Flanked by several members of his party, Minnis claimed the gaming bill gives a distinct advantage to current web shop owners to apply for a license. The bill states potential operators must be invited to apply by the gaming board. Minnis said this means existing lawbreakers and the select few may be given priority. Minnis said the bill does not provide a procedure through which new operators might make their intentions known to the gaming board to receive the required invitation.
The gaming bill itself is nothing short of a charter for lawbreakers and the select few, in that it legalizes previously criminal acts and provides a statutory, a fixed deal, a done deal advantage to existing lawbreakers as against law-abiding persons who may wish to enter into a business venture which is now being legalized and regularized.
The opposition leader said the bill also institutionalizes unfairness in that Bahamian operators cannot provide services to non-Bahamians, a privilege Minnis said that foreign-owned casino operators will enjoy. He added the bill also maintains an illogical distinction between Bahamian residents and foreigners in that Bahamians will not be permitted to access mobile gaming services or have access to hotel casinos, whether they may be guests of that hotel or not. But above all, Minnis said the government is ignoring the results of the gambling referendum.
The Prime Minister has the gall to permit his government to table a bill to legalize web shop gambling in any of its forms and to enable the creation of a national lottery without having the courtesy to apologize to the Bahamian people for wasting millions of dollars on an opinion poll and telling the Bahamian people that his government would respect the results of the referendum. Having done so, the event following the referendum only showed the depths of the Prime Minister's breach of trust and insincerity, as he publicly issued an ultimatum to existing web shop operators, telling them to close forthwith and seeing nothing at all done by a weak, hand-wringing, and excuse-making commissioner of police who was publicly given every lame and sorry excuse that he could think of not to enforce the existing gambling laws.
Minnis said the FNM stands with the majority of Bahamians who voted no in the January 2013 gambling referendum, and he promised that should the FNM win the next election, steps will be taken to ensure referendum results are adhered to.
In view of the egregious breach of trust now being committed by the PLP government, the Free National Movement now makes a solemn commitment to the Bahamian people that we will amend the referendum laws passed by the PLP to ensure that in the future, the results of any non-constitutional or consultative referendum must be binding on future governments. It is the settled view of the FNM that as a matter of principle and a matter of good governance, whenever the government submits a question to the people in a referendum, it must be legally bound to accept the results.
Reporting for NB12 Weekend, I'm Dana Smith.
Well, although she admitted that this school year started off much better than last school year, that was marred with challenges at Stephen Dillard and Uriah McPhee primary schools, Bahamas Union of Teachers President Belinda Wilson is criticizing what she called a lack of preparedness on behalf of the Ministry of Education. She told NB12 she was shocked to hear the Minister of Education confirm last week that up to 30 teachers had resigned from the public school system. Wilson said if that was the case, she knew nothing about it, and the ministry should have communicated that to her. She added that she only knew of one resignation in the past 3 weeks, that of a teacher on Andros. Wilson said she doesn't believe the ministry is being upfront about the shortage of teachers this year and that it dropped the ball by failing to ensure there are enough teachers to fill classrooms.
I'm minded to say that I believe that, again this year, the Ministry of Education has missed the mark and they did not plan properly for staffing for the schools, and that is why we have the shortage of teachers. I want to also state that, again this year, I heard through the media again that the vetting process is incomplete for the teachers.
Wilson said she understands that the vetting process for teachers this year is still incomplete.
I really would like to know, when is it that the Department of Education is going to get their act together? Education is the foundation of our nation. And if they are working, or we are working in a helter-skelter manner, in a hodgepodge manner, every year you know that you have teachers who resign, you have teachers who retire, and you know that you have to recruit. So there has to be a method in which the ministry will use to make sure that they have X number of teachers.
In addressing the issue of overcrowding in schools on southern New Providence, Education Minister Jerome Fitzgerald said government plans to construct new primary and junior high schools in the south over the next 3 years. However, Wilson said building new schools won't replace proper planning.
If they could not foresee that prior to school opening, Now that the students are there, then they should have had these teachers on notice or who are waiting, knowing that, okay, we're going to need you. The director of education. And that's a part of planning. And if you fail to plan, then you will fail. And it's happening too often. It's every year.
In other news, former State Minister of Environment Fenton Amor has hit out at the government for an alleged lack of transparency in the BEC restructuring process. Amor suggested the supposed secrecy surrounding the process is undemocratic.
Everything about BEC and its privatization exercise is secret. I think this goes against democracy. One of the key elements of democracy is transparency and accountability. How can we sell one of the largest assets of the Bahamian people? And the Bahamian people, first of all, do not know the process we're going through. The Bahamian people do not know who are offering prices. The Bahamian people do not know what the bidding process is, and therefore it is not transparent.
It was last year that Prime Minister Perry Christie revealed the government's plan to engage private companies to take over certain aspects of BEC. At the time, government proposed the process would be complete by May 2014. To date, about 5 bidders have been shortlisted. Although criticizing what he described as a lack of transparency in the process, Amor noted he does support the reform of BEC.
There needs to be a reform of the energy sector. BEC is a component of the energy sector. We need to address BEC as part of that, because we also need to address legislation. But I strongly support the restructuring of BEC. I believe that we should have begun a long time ago, because it was something that I began to address while in office.
And Democratic National Alliance leader Branwell McCartney also expressing doubts about the November 6th deadline for the constitutional referendum, noting the government hasn't even passed the final legislation yet.
No, I don't think the 6th of November will be, because they have not finalized and agreed upon the wording to date. I think it was Monday past that they were supposed to debate the amendments, and they postponed it. So quite frankly, right now, we still don't know what the amendments are.
McCartney said the Christie administration is making the same mistakes as the last government, attributing the failure of the 2002 referendum to the bills being too convoluted.
For a government to have all the experience and all the know-how, and for their leader who've been in politics for over 40 years, to make the same mistake that the former administration made when they brought the referendum on gender equality is mind-boggling to me. Because the former administration lost that referendum back in 2002 simply because the wording was too complicated.
The party leader also expressed doubts the country will be ready for value-added tax implementation on January 1st. Although that legislation passed in the House of Assembly on August 20th, McCartney noted it still has to pass in the Senate, and the government's education campaign is ongoing.
It has not been passed through both houses as yet, you know. The Senate has to debate it. The regulations have to be implemented. And then the public will have to be educated. September, October, November, December. It ain't gonna happen. It will not happen. And if it happens in January, it will be one big mess. One big ball of confusion, which this government is known for.
And police have arrested 2 Romanian men in relation to ATM fraud in the capital. Reports are that CDU officers were acting on intelligence when they intercepted a small white Nissan car in the Palmdale area. The 2 Romanian men, ages 30 and 40, were taken into custody. Police didn't reveal how the men conducted the fraud, but said investigations are ongoing. Police are also reporting a shooting incident in the Sutton Street area overnight. Reports are that around 7:15, Officers discovered a 22-year-old man of Williamsland suffering from a gunshot wound. The victim was reportedly attending a repast for a loved one. He was taken to hospital, but police say his injuries are non-life-threatening. And police on San Salvador have arrested a 19-year-old Calpen Road resident in connection to the murder of Prince Prudence. The suspect was handed over to authorities in the capital for further questioning and investigations. Meantime, back here in the capital, police were directed to the whereabouts of a 29-year-old Taylor Street man who was also arrested in connection with the murder of Prudence. Police are appealing to members of the public with information on these or any other crimes to contact them at 328-TIP.